Hello, hello, hello. This is Gresh from the I Am CEO podcast. I have a very special guest back on the show today. I have Amira Irfan. Amira, excited to have you back on the show.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, absolutely. And Amira's doing so many awesome things. So before we jumped into doing that and talking about that, I want to read a little bit more about Amira so you can hear about some of those awesome things that she's been working on. An internationally renowned Amira is the business lawyer, blogger, and coach behind A Self Guru, an online company that has been featured around the world for helping entrepreneurs legally protect their businesses through its affordable legal templates and services. Amira has had the honor of helping over 50,000 entrepreneurs comply with laws and safeguard their businesses. Her work has been featured in 200 media outlets such as Ticker News, Yahoo Finance, International Business Times, Legal Reader, Authority Magazine, Thrive Global, US Times Now, CEO Blog Nation, and even the IMCO podcast, and many, many more. And the thing I absolutely love about Amira is we talked a lot around how making the transition of going from one to one to one to many is so powerful. So I love hearing her journey there. And I think we were talking a lot during our previous episode around her transition. I think she had over a $70,000 month before she was giving her 9 to 5. So being able to build businesses, I think people think that that journey happens at a flip of a script, but hearing her journey and how she's been able to build it has been absolutely huge. So make sure you check out her previous episode number 903 of our IMCO podcast. So Amira, you're doing phenomenal things. Excited to have you back on the show. Are you ready to speak to the IMCO community again?
Oh, I'm so excited. Definitely ready.
Awesome. Well, let's get it started then. So, to kind of kick everything off, I wanted to rewind that clock a little bit, hear a little bit more on how you got started, what you've been working on since we last spoke.
Yeah, so last time we spoke, we talked about like how I was in the process of building my online business while working full time as a lawyer. And so I was just at the crossroads of like, well, do I want to do this full time, quit my 9 to 5 job as a lawyer? And by the way, those of you who don't know me, I'm a business lawyer and also an entrepreneur over at aselfguru.com. So when I reached that month of making 70, I think it was like 78,000 a month, and that's when I realized that what, I am just like burning the candle on both ends. Like working as a lawyer was such a demanding job, going to work every day and then also building this side hustle business on the side. So I knew that I had to go all in. So the biggest change from our last conversation to now has been that I did finally quit my 9 to 5 job. I'm doing this full time. And honestly, I'm like really, really happy that I made that jump because it was a very huge mindset shift for me because my identity being a lawyer, working for over a decade. And people don't know this, but I became a lawyer after I watched my own dad's business get sued. So I'm super passionate about helping business owners avoid making legal mistakes in their business. That's just kind of how the journey started. But now I'm like really happy that I get to help so many entrepreneurs one on one working with me or by simply downloading my template. So it's been a beautiful journey so far.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love, kind of hearing that journey. Obviously, sorry to hear about everything. We talked about it before, what happened, with your dad. But I often say that as great as it is to hear, of course, what people do and know their products and services, it's probably the most important thing to know why they do it and having that experience with your dad and his business. And I don't know if you can give us a little bit more of a recap of what happened, just in case people are listening to this, but having that as your why to, of course, not see other organizations, other entrepreneurs, business owners that are putting their blood, sweat, and tears into things, not have it kind of end up that way is absolutely huge.
Yeah, absolutely. So what happened was I was actually going to become a doctor. I was studying to become a doctor and then I come back home one day from college and I see my dad devastated and he's holding the complaint, the actual official legal complaint that he was just served with, and it was a $90,000 lawsuit. So you guys can imagine that my dad was just lost. Like he was fairly new business owner, so it's not like he was doing this for many years or that he even had the money or the expertise to fight it. So our whole life just changed in that moment, and I had to kind of help dad navigate through the legalities and hire a lawyer for him. And as you guys know, listening to this, and I will say this over and over again, is that when you get sued, it's not just you who suffers, it's your whole family that suffers with you. And I have gone through that nightmare because, first of all, lawsuits are very expensive. Second, they really take away all your peace of mind and your money. And so that whole lawsuit lasted an entire year and just helping dad kind of communicate with his lawyers and work through the whole situation just made me realize that there's so many other like business owners like my dad who make legal mistakes. And the legal mistake that he made was he didn't use a contract with the person that he hired because it was his friend. And I
Mhm.
know so many business owners who make this mistake. You know, working as a lawyer, as I mentioned, for over a decade, I have seen so many other business owners come to me after they've gotten into a problem with a partnership, or if they got into a problem with over a contract or a freelance person that they hired and they didn't deliver. And now there's a dispute. In fact, even yesterday, I had a call with somebody. There was a contract that she signed for 3 months for an advertising agency, and they didn't deliver on the work. And she's now having problem getting that money back. So again, these are all these different issues that come up, but then there were some things in her contract that were missing and that are hurting her now. So that's why I really emphasize like having the importance of contracts in your business. And that's the kind of mistake my dad made, and which really could have been easily prevented with proper legal guidance. And I just decided in that moment that I wanted to become not just any regular lawyer, but a business lawyer so that I could help others from suffering the same fate that we did as a family.
Yeah, and I commend you so much for taking that path and for all the awesome work that you do as well. Because I think you don't know there's so many different things involved in running, starting, continuing a business that sometimes you don't pay attention to all of those things. That's why it's so important to make sure that you have that village, so to speak, of people you can lean on, because when you have all those people that have that expertise, that knowledge that you kind of lean into, or have the awesome, services and products that you have, it allows people to, I think, spend more time in their zone of genius, but I think even perform better because, for one, you have that peace of mind of knowing that you are leaning on somebody that has expertise and knowledge. But I think for two, you just have peace in knowing that the time, energy, resources, and everything else you're putting into your organization is not all for naught, and something like that, and or that experience won't happen.
Exactly. Totally agree.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So I want to drill down a little bit more. I know we touched a little bit upon like how you're serving your clients. Could you take us through a little bit more on what we can find, how you're making that impact and supporting the clients there?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's two big parts of my business and like how I actually help business owners. The first one is working with me one on one. So I kind of mentioned how I had a call yesterday where somebody had a contract, but they were having some disputes, and she wanted to know what her legal rights were. So that's where one on one working with me comes in. So anytime you need like a contract drafting, contract reviews, website legal audits, or even LLC formation, or you just have general questions, right? Like, okay, what do I need to do, or what steps I need to take, or about like legal questions or business questions that you may have, or maybe you're just stuck on something. So there's coaching calls that I also provide. So that's one part of my business where you're getting straight access to me one on one. The second part is more hands off and it's more passive, where you get the lawyer level protection through my instantly downloadable legal templates that you can just download to protect your business, such as my VIP legal bundle that gives you like all the website policies, like privacy policies, disclaimers, terms and conditions that people always struggle with, like how to put together those terms, but they're so important because they ensure compliance with different laws. Because once you have an online business, you're opening yourself up to all kinds of different liabilities, right? And now with the AI coming into the equation and new laws coming into the equation, so there's just so much to worry about. And that's where those templates are like a perfect solution, because you don't have to hire me, you don't have to wait on things. It's instant solution. You get free lifetime updates. So those templates also are like a big part of my business, because those are two ways that you get the legal protection, and it's super quick and fast and affordable.
Yeah, that makes so much sense, and I love that you offer both of those ways, because I imagine even if you have the template or things in place, and you maybe have a more unique situation, you could probably reach out and have that one to one. So probably a combination of both of those two things you might end up needing. But one thing that you said that kind of really stuck out to me is I think constantly as you're building, growing your business, you're doing all the things, all literally all the things that you feel like you have to do for your business. Your business evolves, your business changes, you change, but I think we sometimes forget about the external things that change. So I love that you kind of touched on that, and especially as the legal industry in and of itself with things like AI, so many different things are changing, that is so important. And it's so hard, I think, to stay dialed into all of those things, which is why I think it's even more important to make sure that you are having that opportunity to lean on others.
Yeah, absolutely. Because technology is evolving all the time. And now with the AI being so big, I'll give you one example. Like, Chat GPT is being sued for by so many people for copyright infringement, privacy laws. And then as part of their terms, you could also be legally liable if you use your services, and part of that was part of the litigation. So there's so many different things that people don't realize, the new issues that are developing, right? Like courts are even going through them and trying to figure out. So privacy laws are always changing. So there's so much going on that it can be very confusing and very difficult. And that's where, like you said, like having that lawyer expertise on the side or help, or somebody, a resource that you could go to, whether it's my blog post that you read or whether it's my template you download, or just having that one-on-one access to me in my Facebook group definitely gives you like that solution and peace of mind instantly, instead of you having to worry about like how to figure all this out. I will do the dirty work for you, you know.
Yeah, that's huge.
So,
You don't have to walk around with a legal book, and then also just kind of stroll through and figure out what's the news today and all of those things. You just kind of lean on the people that are keeping their zone of genius to actually lean in on that and understand those things, and you just try to connect with those people.
right.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So I wanted to hear a little bit more on what you think might be your secret sauce. I think I have an idea of what it might be, but what do you feel like is your secret sauce, the thing you feel like sets you apart and makes you unique, or your organization?
Yeah, so great question. First thing is that we prioritize customer service over anything else. For me, like consistently maintaining a 5-star rating, which we have for over 5 years. If you go to my Facebook page, my website, my social media, you'll see hundreds and hundreds of love notes. And I think that's a testament of the quality of product and service that we provide, because I've learned that from my own dad. Like, customer always comes first. And then the second thing I think that really, really sets me apart as compared to other lawyers, and that my customers always tell me, is that just like you guys, I'm a business owner too, right? So yes, I'm a lawyer, but I also have my own online business, my own company that I'm running. So I completely understand the challenges. Just like you, I have to ensure compliance. Just like you, I have to use contracts with the people. If I'm using AI tools, I also have to limit my legal liability. So for me, like just being completely involved into the business field, just like my customers, just gives me that relatability factor, and builds connection instantly, because that's just kind of how my teaching style is too. Like I'll be like, okay, let me show you how I'm using an affiliate agreement with my own affiliates so you can do the same. So that, I believe, really sets me apart as compared to, let's say, a regular business owner that is completely not having a business of their own on the side, but just kind of doing the work for you. You won't get that personal touch, which you definitely get when you work with me, or you just download my template. You know that I've been there with you.
Yeah, you've been there and you are there at that, and you having that experience and going through that. And I think so many times I feel like that, and you definitely correct me if I'm wrong. Having that as part of your secret sauce also helps out with the other aspect or the other ingredient in your secret sauce, that customer service, because you're going through those experiences. I imagine that helps you out as far as like being able to provide that top notch customer service, because you not only understand like the human part, but I feel like you understand also the changing of things and how that might help affect potential entrepreneurs and business owners.
Exactly. And then, another example I'll give you is like, I think this is another biggest compliment that I've gotten in my business as a lawyer, is that I have other lawyers that actually purchase my legal templates because they're like, yeah, we are a lawyer. We could do this on our own, but we know you know better because you've been through it, you've done it, you've got the expertise that we don't. So I feel like when you get another person purchasing from you, that's like the highest form of compliment, and also just shows that you know what you're doing. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Especially, people that are, yeah, in that craft as well too. They also understand the idea and the concept of you can go much further if you go together rather than by yourself, and and take advantage of those opportunities.
exactly.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So I wanted to switch gears a little bit, and I wanted to ask you for what I call a CEO hack. So this could be like an app, a book, or a habit that you have, but what's something that makes you more effective and efficient?
So I'll give you two. The first business hack that has really helped me tremendously as a CEO over the years is using a project management software. Like with so many different projects and tasks, and I know you can relate to this, and wearing multiple hats as a CEO, it can be very overwhelming. So the way that I really stay on track is that I use Asana daily. I love Asana. It's the app that kind of has all my calendar. It also has all my projects in there. Also, my teams are on there. So it's very user friendly. It's great for collaborations and it just kind of keeps me focused on my goals on a daily basis. So that's one hack. The second one is like really also incorporating, and I know I briefly talked about this in our last episode, is incorporating mindfulness practice into my daily routine because it's easy for us as CEOs to get overwhelmed and burnout. And I've experienced that in my life over the years for sure, especially when things get chaotic and with all these changes also and keeping up with them. So I really take the time first thing in the morning every single day to meditate and practice gratitude because that just sets the mood right and keeps me centered and to be honestly sane also and just kind of focusing on leading my company in a better direction and making the right decisions. So it just really helps me in all of those aspects.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. I can definitely see how those two overlap as well too, because especially that mindfulness piece, I think it's I don't know how long do you kind of dedicate towards I guess doing that in the beginning of the, or in the morning.
Yeah, so I've been practicing meditation for like I would say about like 10 years now, and
Nice.
so I've gotten really good at it and I can easily sit and meditate for an hour.
Nice.
But I don't have that much luxury of time on a daily basis, but I do take at least minimum 15 to 20 minutes. I honestly don't put a time limit on myself because I don't take any electronics with me or anything, but I will just sit there and do my gratitude practice, do my meditation, however long it takes. But generally speaking, it's definitely no less than 15, 20 minutes, sometimes even longer, depending on what is going on.
Hear what's happening. Yeah, how many things are in Asana, right? And yeah, I think that's so huge, and that's why I really thought, how powerful that is. Because when you think about that mindfulness, I could see how that overlaps into that project management piece. Because when there are so many things that you have to juggle, sometimes doing that at the beginning of the day or very early on, at the very least, and creating that space for that allows you to, I think, come into the day, the projects, all the things with a lot more peace and a lot more focus at that. Because I think when you're in it, sometimes you can feel like the world's crashing or the world's amazing. It feels like you're on extremes. You're not kind of just present and at peace. But I feel like that mindfulness probably helps out with that.
Exactly, it does. It really takes away the stress because I'm the kind of person like when I get mentally stressed, it translates into physical health ailments, right? So I really need to protect my mindful, like my mindset needs to be very positive, very solid, very goal oriented. And if I don't do these practices, then I notice a change in not just my mental health, but my physical health, which is more, challenging for me. So I believe like having all these practices in place from the very beginning in the morning, just like really, as I mentioned, keeps me grounded and keeps me like, and also helps me make better decisions as a business owner.
Yeah, I was just talking with someone recently, and we were talking about a lot of times, like when you're in I guess, a stressful state or you're hurried or whatever that might be, how that affects decision making and how a lot of times you don't want to make decisions then, or at least big decisions then, because usually you're not in that state of making, I guess, the best decision you won't regret or won't look back and say, what was I thinking like 5, 10 years down the line? So it's so important to kind of have those practices and how they contribute to the decisions that you ultimately make in it, which ends up being your business.
Exactly, exactly.
Yes, and I absolutely love that. So, what would you consider to be what I call a CEO nugget? A little bit more word of wisdom or piece of advice. I like to say something is something that you might tell your younger business self if you were to hop into a time machine or potentially your favorite client.
So obviously, I would tell my dad, right? Because I wasn't a lawyer when he made this mistake. But just like, and I'm speaking to not just my dad, but my younger self, but also like all the different entrepreneurs and business owners out there, is that prioritize legal protection of your business from the start. This means consulting with a lawyer to have all the necessary legal documents for your website, for your brick and mortar business, or any agreements, and all of that stuff from the very beginning, because trust me, this is going to take away a lot of stress and then it will allow you to focus on like the fun part of your business, which is growing your business. And it will also help you from potential like lawsuits and legal disputes with your customers. And then the last thing that I would leave you with to always remember, and this is something that I came up with, the quote, is that legal is the glue that holds your business together. I know this from firsthand from my dad's lawsuit, but also after working years and years as a lawyer and also seeing so many businesses crumble and fall apart because of a legal mistake or a lawsuit or a legal issue. So you just want to make sure that you always remember that legal is that foundation that's going to keep your business solid for years to come.
Yeah, I think that's huge, and I think that's huge from many, different vantage points. And as you were, explaining that, I love both of those, nuggets because I think as long as you prioritize that, that idea of like protection is huge, and I think it's protection from, also if you are a person that has created something and built something, and you want to make sure it's protected. I imagine that. A lot of times you again you put your blood, sweat, and tears. This is your legacy. These are things you want to use to make that impact, and that's not protected. I imagine that those same feelings can happen as well too.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel that business owners are getting very smart about it because, a lot of them are. Like, I'll give you another example. I had a call earlier this week, and this is a coach who's starting a coaching business online. And she used to be a teacher, so she's retired, and now she's going to go into the online field. And she did everything right. She set up a console with me. She also purchased the legal templates, but she also set up the console because she wanted to get all her questions answered, right? She's like, okay, am I missing anything? I got your templates, but now tell me what else I need to do to kind of have all this stuff together. She doesn't have a website yet. She doesn't have a blog. She hasn't done anything yet, but at least she is in the right state of mind because she's like, hey, I'm going to spend all this energy, all this time and money building something from scratch. Now I want to make sure that I have legal protection from the very beginning. And plus, I also have assets to protect. I don't want anything to jeopardize. So if that means forming an LLC from the very beginning, then that's what I have to do. So again, just having that education and also taking the initiative, right, to book that call with the lawyer, discussing, getting the templates where you can save money, but and then also forming the LLC, doing these things, it just like kind of again then will give her the peace of mind, and within a week we're going to get done with all of this, and guess what, then she has all the time in the world to just focus on starting and growing her coaching business. So that's kind of like an example I wanted to give, that really the shift that is happening that I am seeing from the very first time that I started in the online space. I do see people taking a little more action and taking the legal stuff seriously.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then going back to, the hack that we talked about, I almost feel like that again, that's a part of mindfulness as well too, is having that peace of mind so you can be present, you can, create, you can execute, you can do all those things because you're not worried about all those things, or am I gonna get that email or that letter or something where it's gonna completely turn my business upside down.
Exactly.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So now I want to ask you my absolute favorite question, which is the definition of what it means to be a CEO. Our goal is to have different quote unquote CEOs on the show. So Amira, what does being a CEO mean to you?
Yeah, I love this question. So I think my answer is going to be different from last time because I've evolved. So for me, being a CEO honestly means like reaching my highest potential, facing my fears, and making tough decisions. But that also being responsible for the success of my company. So the best way I can describe it is like being a captain of my ship. I'm navigating through the storms, the highs, the lows, but also celebrating victories along the way. But let's be real, the CEO also, being a CEO also means having unlimited amount of coffee and my team who can read my mind. Just kidding. But just kind of but honestly, in the end, I would say like I look at it like that, being a captain of my ship or being like a movie star of my own movie. Like I know my goal is to make my movie, my business, a blockbuster hit, but there are going to be all these challenges and things that I would have to conquer in the process. And in the end, the ultimate goal really is to create something very meaningful, a legacy that's going to go on for years and is going to solve other people's problems, because that's what honestly comes down to.
Yeah, I love how that comes full circle, especially towards, everything that happened with your dad and your why and how that fueled that and how you're doing that on a daily basis with every template, every consultation, every one-on-one, have that opportunity to do that. So I love that definition in the analogy of being a captain of your ship, because in that same sense, you can take it any way that you want. So you can go left, you can go right. You make those decisions based on being the captain of that ship.
Exactly.
Absolutely. So I actually wanted to ask you a little bit more, like being the captain of the ship, when you were making that transition of saying, I want to move from the 9 to 5, was there a moment or a spot where you said that, oh, hey, I'm going to take this ship this way. This is now the time. Was there like a marker or a place you feel? I know that you probably being stretched was a big thing, but was it like a, I want to hit this level that led you there?
Yeah, you mean like the process of quitting the job
Hmm.
and then
Yeah. Deciding
transitioning
that you wanted
to
to.
yeah, absolutely. So it was already like a lot of people were already telling me, like even my mentors in the online space, and also making the amount of money that I was making from the online business. I was getting even my own husband was telling me like, "Hey, why are you still being in two ships, right? Like why are you doing a job and also the business? You're burning yourself out." I was burning myself out physically, mentally, because it is very challenging and demanding. So I did that for a couple of years, and so I was getting a little bit of I would say encouragement from the people that cared about me to tell me, hey, look, your business is successful. But mentally, it was becoming very hard because it was being a lawyer and working for over a decade as a full-time lawyer in a traditional sense was my identity. So I felt like it was like something was being taken away from me if I quit, you know. And then there were obviously fears that even though I have replicated success in business for this amount of time, am I going to be able to consistently do that for years to come if I let go of the job security? So which I know a lot of people can relate to, because when you're a business, there's highs and then there's lows, right? And there's
Yes.
constant things are going to break, things are going to not go the way you want to, or the way you envision. And that actually did happen after I quit my job. I ended up having an unexpected surgery, came out of nowhere.
Wow.
So I had all these lavish plans that I'm going to do this, couldn't do anything. It's like the universe had a way of slapping me, but that's okay. I came out as a better person at the end. But my point is that, you know, there was a lot of mental glitches and challenges that I had to overcome. But the biggest in the end, decision factor was when I made $11,000 in a single day, and that was like my salary for the whole month as a
Nice.
lawyer. So I was like, if you don't do it now, like when are you it's now or never, you know, like how
Yeah.
much more evidence that you need, or how much more proof that you need that you have done it, like you've created a successful business, you've scaled it to 7 6 figures, you know. So how much more do you need? So I feel was a big decision factor in my decision to, like, that was a big turning point for me to be able to say, okay, that's it, I'm not going to question myself, not going to let limiting beliefs creep in, and I'm just going to take a leap of faith here and go all in. So that was
Nice.
it.
Nice. I appreciate you so much for expounding upon that and having that that month, or that month, not even a month, that day, which could have been a month if you were in that 9 to 5, it is absolutely huge. But I appreciate it so much because, when we talk about being a captain of your ship, it's like saying we're going to go here, we're going to go there, we're going to go through all those storms. But a lot of times we don't hear about the actual human feelings, the emotions that you have, the identity. I love that word that you said, because I think so many times when we do something for so long, we become great at what we do, we have that identity, and it's hard to kind of detach from that to go to the next rung, to go to the next thing, or whatever that looks like. So I appreciate you so much in sharing that, and how that it becomes so real. Like I myself, when I started everything that I did, I tore my Achilles literally 30 days after, or 45 days after my insurance had to run out. So I felt slapped in the face as well too. And those are human feelings that you have. But I think so many times when you get those reminders that you are going the right path, it's not always straight, it's not always sunshine and rainbows, but you have to kind of power through. And I love that you had that mission to do that.
Yeah, I thank you for sharing that, because I couldn't agree more. Sometimes what you're thinking is a slap is actually a blessing in disguise. Maybe it's taking out your full potential. Like maybe it's like the universe or God, if you believe in, is kind of teaching you something. There's always a lesson in it, and I feel like I became a stronger and a better entrepreneur as a result of that, because I was able to conquer adversity, right? And I'm sure you can relate to that because you went through that. So I feel like in retrospect, in the moment, yes, it feels like, oh my God, I just made the biggest decision to quit. And now I can't even focus on my business because I'm in the hospital. But then afterwards, you come out stronger. You know, you come out wiser and you come out better and with more creativity than I ever did before.
Yeah, absolutely. It starts to build that resilience, which I think is one of the most powerful things
Yes,
that you can have. And probably on top of that, the awareness of your resilience, which is even more powerful because sometimes we have it and don't even realize or recognize that we do. So,
exactly.
absolutely appreciate that definition and perspective. Of course, I appreciate your time even more. So, what I want to do now is pass you the mic, so to speak, just to see if there's anything additional that you can let our readers and listeners know. And of course, how best people can get hold of you, get your templates, and all the awesome things that you're working on.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Well, first of all, thank you again for having me on the show. It's always such an honor to talk to you. As for out to me, I would love for you guys to connect anywhere on aselfgrew.com. If you go on social media, everywhere it's aselfgrew, whether it's YouTube, Instagram, or my Facebook group. And then I also have a free gift for you guys for listening in. If you would like to protect your business from the three most common legal mistakes that I see entrepreneurs making all the time, no matter what kind of business you have and no matter what size of business you have, then I encourage you to download that free legal guide. It's absolutely free from my website, aselfgrew.com.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you so much, Amira. We'll have the links and information in the show notes so that everybody can get a hold of you, connect with you on social, get all the help and things that we all need. So thank you so much again, for your time. I think the work that you do is so important because I think so many times we kind of get attracted to the idea and all the awesome things that we're doing. We forget how important it is to protect yourself and at the very least have awareness around what that looks like. So thank you so much for doing that. And of course, your time today. And I hope you have a phenomenal rest of the day.
You too. Thank you.